have three, four, five participants in this session. And the first is S. Shiba Kumari, research scholar, PhD, Shikhaya Necker College, Erode, affiliated to Bhartiyar University. Shiva is present in the meeting.
Yes, sir, I am here, sir.
Okay. You go for your presentation. The topic of your presentation is patriarchal disposition of in Mahesh Dattani's where there is a will.
Yes, sir. Shall I start?
Okay. Yes. You can start and please try to be brief. 10 minutes you can say maximum for each participant.
Okay, sir. Okay. Okay, so I am yes Shiba Kumari, research scholar of Chikaya Nayaka College, Erode. My presentation topic is patriarchal despotism in Mahesh Dattani's where there is a will. So despotism means the entity rules with absolute power. Despotism is a state where one single man wields all the power and authority and everyone else is considered as his slave. A patriarchal society is a system, one in which the men have all or most of the power and importance. They hold every position of power and authority possible. So, patriarchal despotism in a family occurs where the full powerful man suppresses the feminine characters. Not only the feminine characters, the other characters around him. So, Indian society has been very traditional with strong patriarchal values. This play, where there is a will, portrays the injustice of a businessman through his will. The plot of the play revolves around a man named Hasmukh Mehta, who is a successful businessman. Suppression of women is the focal point of Dattani's plays. It is a typical story of an Indian middle class family where the head of the family, Hasmukh, wants his son Ajit to live his entire life in the shadow of him as he devoted to his father. In Indian society, the father is the head of the family and all the members should follow the rules and regulations laid down by the head. He is the one who has the final word in any decision making in the family. Hasmukh always criticizes his son Ajit and wife Sonal. He looks with doubt at his daughter-in-law Preeti. Hasmukh is not happy with his wife Sonal, so he has a mistress named Kiran, who is his company secretary. He always boasts that he is a self-made man. Ajit says, "Don't I have any rights at all?" Hasmukh replies, "You have the right to listen to my advice and obey my orders." He wanted to rule over the family even after his death through a complicated will. He formed a trust so that the money will stay in Hasmukh Mehta Charitable Trust till his son Ajit Mehta is 45 years old. Ajit will get control over the company when he turns 45 years old, and the daughter in law will not get any share till her still to be born child turns 21. They three can live in that house and they will be given mere allowance by the old man's mistress. Kiran, the mistress of Hasmukh, is a trustee of all his wealth. She gets a fixed salary for her job. Most insulting to all the members of the family is that his former mistress will move in and live in his family till the trust be dissolved 22 years hence. If Ajit did not go by these terms and conditions, the trust will donate its funds to various charities already mentioned by Hasmukh Mehta. When Kiran comes to stay in the house of Mehta, it is an explosive situation for the family. But later, Kiran becomes good companion to her. After Hasmukh Mehta's death, his ghost remains in the house and watches over the happenings. Hasmukh's spirit is a mute watcher and is greatly disappointed to see his mistress improving her good relationship with his family members. Tatani points out that women deal things very differently, and Sonal has brought up her son differently. Ajit refuses to be another extension of his father. Hasmukh criticizes the behavior of women. Have you ever noticed how women are all alike in their behavior? For instance, if you ask them whether breakfast or lunch or dinner is ready, they always say yes, and it never really is ready. Hasmukh compared Minal, the sister of his wife, to a mad monkey. When Hasmukh says about his marriage life, he said, "When I was 21, the greatest tragedy of my life took place. I got married. The following year, Ajit was born. Tragedy after tragedy." The first half of the play covers the period of Hasmukh's life, and the second half deals with the period after Hasmukh's death, physically in the first half and metaphysically in the second half. Like a traditional mother, Sonal is a caring mother. She looks after her son very well. She goes to the kitchen irrespective of her ill health. Hasmukh is a despotic personality. He is a person who is just not ready to consider any opinion of any other person except his own. Dattani gives a bolder look to the character Kiran, Hasmukh's mistress. Kiran recollects, I learned my lesson from watching my mother tolerating my father when he came home every day with bottles of rum wrapped up in newspapers. I learned when my mother pretended she was happy in front of me and my brothers that we wouldn't hate my father. Hasmukh Mehta remains a complete failure as a father as well as a husband. The loveless life makes his life hollow and meaningless. The will dominate is short-lived. Finally, Dattani's credit there is the use of an unstressed symbolism as the baby is kicking in Preeti's womb, being symbolic of the start of a fresh new life for all the living members of Mehta family, and the banishment of Hasmukh's ghost being indicative of exotism of the past. With this, I conclude my presentation.
Okay, thank you very much for your presentation. And the second participant is
Thank you so
we have two. Yes, thank you. There are two, you can say, author. One is the research supervisor, and I think Mrs. Suja J, she is going to present paper. In the present in the meeting, Mrs. Suja J, research scholar.
Yes, I am present here, sir.
Oh, okay, okay. So you go for your presentation, man, please.
Yes, sir. Within 1 minute, I will present,
You
sir.
are you will use PPT.
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay.
Good evening. Good evening.
Yes. Good
Good
evening.
evening.
Good evening.
Now I want to present my paper, Immigrant Immigrant Identity, Nostalgia for Home and Homeland, a conception in Chitra Banerjee Divakarni's The Wine of Desire. First, nostalgia. Nostalgia for whom is The quintessence of diaspora. Today, the multicultural societies are the result of global immigration. Diasporic literature captures the problematic issues and the concerns experienced by the immigrants. The spatial displacements crossing geographical boundaries, this occurring involves deterritorialization and territorialization. The writings deal with the two invariables of their experiences. One is exile and other is home. It brings about the emotional predicament and the turmoil caused due to displacement. The novel, The Wine of Desert, is a fictitious representation signifying the immigrants' desperation for home and homeland. The comparison and contradiction, that is, the similarities and dissimilarities, the original home with the adopted land, dig out the memories and nostalgic experience. The noticeable magnetism and influence of the contradicting cultures on the immigrants become cause of concern, which leaves them in a flux. The characters in the novel express restrictions to accept the changes and dilemmas amidst entangled emotions. Diaspora is a displaced group of the language or cultural institution from one geographical region to another geographical region. Such displacements or dislocations often lead to a sense of homelessness. Thus, the displacement from one country to another and occurring the ethnic culture also holding the native culture brings gradual dilemma and a sense of rootlessness in the migrant community. The question of home and homeland is a constant concern of the immigrant, of which nostalgia is the inherent result. The consciousness of uprooting from the native environment creates emotional setbacks and raises the question of belonging and not belonging. The Indians living in the alien countries continue to live in a double life, refusing to give up their cultural roots. They are sandwiched between the deep-rooted native culture and assimilated host culture. There is a flux of hope of assimilation in a new land. At the same time, there is invariable magnetism towards homeland. The picture of repeated writings mainly signifies the struggle for identity and construction of new identities. The location causes the individuals to get dislocated, migration to different countries governed by different reasons at different times of history. The present fiction, the one of desire is a sequel to Chitra Banerjee Divakarni's Sister of My Heart, the protagonist in the story and the two sisters, Anshu and Sudha, born on the same day, opening their eyes to the ill-fated death of their fathers, also brothers of the same family, Gopal and Vijay, respectively, on a Robbie exploration journey. The dislocation, whether voluntary or forced displacement, the initial uh, euphoria subsides and the life in the aligned land becomes monotonous, causes severe problems. The zigzag caused by the course of actions leave them in dilemma and generates an identity crisis. Dilemma, that Divakaruni says that
Is there any technical problem?
No, sir. I think she left the meeting.
I think she stopped sharing her screen. Hello, Mrs. Suja. Are you present in the meeting?
yes, sir.
She has joined. Yes, you have joined. Okay.
Amma, irunga
If
va.
there is any if there
Sir,
is any problem regarding PPT, yes. Yes.
yes, sir.
Now I think you will go for, you can say, sharing the screen as well while your lecture, during your lecture.
Yes, sir.
Or if you have any problem
The
regarding
sense
sharing
of,
the screen, you can.
the sense of nostalgia, from that, shall I present now, sir?
Yes, yes.
The sense of nostalgia is often seen among the dislocated and displaced people in most of the diaspora writings. The wine of desert that in Brick Lane, an American brat, the namesake disappearing moon cave, on the wine of desert, one can find women characters leave their home to foreign countries after the marriage in order to settle in a new land with their unknown husband. Anju, during her miscarriage, wants for someone to console her feelings of loneliness. Anju's isolation reveals nostalgia caused due to immigration. The immigrants find themselves put out of place from the home society. They are upset emotionally and strive to remember and place themselves in a nostalgic past. There is frequent musings of the past, memories of the childhood days, people and surroundings. Although the story there is sentimental achievements seen displayed by different characters. Anchu is this novel often finds talking to her unborn son. She names him. Prem conveys a reminiscence of her childhood. The dislocation was a voluntary or forced displacement. The initial euphoria subsides and life in the line. Her land becomes monotonous, causes severe problems. Devakarni artistically art, blends the artistic attributes, sprouts out of dissolved tensions and challenges and complications experienced in the society. The two sisters, Anju and Sudha, both emerge as best sisters, friends, most enduring and best supporting system during need. They learn to make peace with the difficult choices, circumstances that force upon them. Anju and Sudha grew up and moved on. They got separated on their marriages and on the same day. The physical displacement does not bring change in the relationship the sisters share from the childhood. They showed everything but one hard truth. The threatens threatens them in Sunil's attraction towards Sudha disclosed only at a marriage. They distance themselves without tampering the sensitive issues which makes them coil into a shell. The woman's bond is shaken to the core when they confront the deeply passionate feelings that Anju's husband has for Sudha. That that sister of my heart says rootless weed detach only to crumble into pieces with the shattering of dream of their happenings. Anju's loneliness identifies emotional rapture. She finds herself brooding at times, adjusting and advises her own routine of college assignments. Divakarna is Divakarni's multicultural concept are vividly shaped in the fiction of the immigrants. The Lalit, the second generation immigrant, a doctor by profession, Lalit displays modern youth assimilated to host country. He believes that all immigrants are dreamers. He was saying, yeah, but they are practical about it. They know what's okay to dream about and what's isn't. A sense of humor catches up with the people and attracts them with a friendly charm. The Sudha confides on him and shows the secrets which she couldn't share with her sister. His depiction in the fiction is a blend of assimilated immigrant connected with the Indian roots and gets attracted uh, towards the Indian people and Indian society.
Mrs. Suja, please conclude your paper.
Yes, sir. So this Divagarni
Please
is no
conclude.
journey is commonplace. Each person's journey is unique and changes that person in a special way. I hope I am able to show that through my different characters, Divagarni portrays remarkable characters. Every character earn a hope in an aligned country where the immigrants venture to set an identity amidst suffering and overcoming tormenting emotions, discard the cultural differences, exhibits resilience. Uh, Through this novel, the wine of Divagarni expresses the family bonds and the yearning for home. Family bonds responsible yearning for the home. I I have finished my presentation, sir.
Thank you. And the next presenter in the list is Miss Arthimina S. from Research Scholar Department of EFL, SRM, IST, and there are two author, I think, of this paper. Dalit Predicament and Breakthrough, an inquisitive nature of a tribal girl in Mahashweta Devi, the YY girl. Are you present, Ms. Asthimina?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you start with your presentation and please be brief.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. I'll just share my screen for a PowerPoint presentation first.
Okay, okay.
Is my screen visible, sir? Am I audible? Is my screen visible? Yes, Aarti ma'am, your screen is visible, but your volume is too low. Please check that.
Dear admin, this is Gavin Wilson speaking. I think I was lined up third for the presentation or to read my paper. Could you please confirm that?
Yeah, please
Sorry
wait, sir.
for
Let me
interrupting.
confirm.
Yeah,
Yeah, please
because
wait, sir.
according to the schedule, I think I was supposed to read my paper third. I'm just asking that it's not missed. That's all. Thank you.
Shall I start now? Am I audible now? Yeah, please, ma'am. Yes. So, good evening, everyone. I'm S. Aarti Meena, research scholar from the Department of English and Foreign Languages, SRM Institute of Science and Technology. And the paper that I'm going to present now is partly contributed by Dr. M. Subbalakshmi, my research supervisor, assistant professor, SRMIST. And the title of my paper is Dalit Predicament and Breakthrough, an inquisitive nature of a tribal girl in Mahashweta Devi's The Vai Girl. Let me start from the author first. The Vai Girl is a picture book written by Mahashweta Devi. Many authors wrote about problems of Dalits, and many were compassionate towards their victimization. Among them, Mahashweta Devi, a prominent author of India, lived among them and observed them closely and wrote about Dalit predicament in Indian society. So, one such work is this Vai Girl. This story is about a little girl, Moinia, a 10 years old girl. She is the story's main protagonist. Moina is a member of the Shabbos, a low income tribal group who serves landlords. They labor arduously for some leftover food and to the barest necessities. However, Moina is very inquisitive by nature. She constantly asks questions. Her family, the Shabbos community, usually don't send their daughters to work. But as she is a fatherless child and her mother has a problem with her leg and she can't work, so Moina has to shoulder all the responsibilities of her family. Here, Moina is burdened with the three times the suppressed state of being a child, a child, a female, and a tribal. So everything aligns intersectional here. So she has to undergo suppression and sufferings for being in all these three states. And through the story, Devi does not only expose the extreme oppression of children in rural India, but also the dichotomies such as urban life and rural life, the life that is close to nature, the rich and the poor, and the divide between the literate and illiterate, and between adult and child, and above all, the divide between those who ask why and those who do not. So, here, Moinia's story is a testimony of how education and being inquisitive can change one's life completely. And the second is system, generally speaking, in India has a long-standing goal of reforming the educational process to better suit tribal students in order to make the education accessible to tribal children. My paper, this study examines the suffering and injustice that Dalit children have silently tolerated in society and affirms that the key to their upliftment lies in challenging their repression. So, placing the attitude of being inquisitive and also the process of transformation through education. These, due to the repression, Dalits got suppressed the ability to ask questions and to think critically. So many of them have accepted their enslavement as their destiny, and to as to the title suggests that this is the predicament of Dalit in the society and especially the children from that community. Education, which is really a means of empowerment, to say. The author considers the connection between the persistence of caste based oppressive traditions and the role of education as a magic bullet for bringing about the changes in the social system that discriminates. The narrative is based on the discrimination, with education being suggested as a means of empowerment to end the victimization by caste. Addressing the importance of Dalit children's education here, the concept of education and equality is supported by many activists in our country. Talking about the reformers, I just want to mention about a great reformer to validate my points on equality with education. Um, Jyotirao Phule is one among such activists. He is an Indian anti-caste social reformer and India's pioneer of women's education. He insists that to cut off the irrational traditional practices that one needs to be educated, and he related the idea of equality with education, and he believed that people from low caste represented in government, and that systematic exclusion was made possible by lack of education. So this lack of education is ultimately the cause of this disproportionate representation in our society. And as to education is considered the light of a society, it enables people to think for themselves and make informed choices by the means which people can liberate themselves from the control of those who would keep them in ignorance and servitude. It is also a reminder that no matter how difficult our life may seem at first, it is never too late to pursue our dreams. It is never to pursue one's dreams. It is never late. In the story, Moina had the good fortune to meet the author who gave her encouragement and support in every way possible to pursue her education further. And also later in the novel, it is mentioned that Moinia is now employed by Samiti as a teacher as a result. Samiti is the place where she lives. And then questions are very invaluable. It is this attitude of questioning that pushes the imaginary boundaries and bring about the change, or inspire inventions and make people discover new things. um, Say for example, one incident from the story, once when Moinia came to visit the author and asked her a lot of whys with one just set of cloth and her pet, Moinia moved into the author's home. After he seeing the author reading a lot of books, she questioned the author about the frequent reading. Then the author's interaction with Moinia is the watershed moment for her, uh, when the author tells her that books have all the answer to your why, and later this encourages Moina to take reading and writing lessons. So she understood, she would find all the explanation for her whys in those books, and as she was very quick and intelligent, she taught herself to read, and she also acquired new skills and taught them to her siblings and other tribal kids in her community. um, it is not only that, but Moina's curiosity, her sense of responsibility, her self-respect, self-righteousness, all these good qualities of her directed her towards decent life and facilitated many of her other tribes. However, one can get their respect and real position in this world by standing for their purpose and questioning the unjust and unreasonable situations of life, as Moina did in her life. So she has set a model for others and got an opportunity to express her intelligence with help and support of the author. Her curiosity and her action that aligns with her questions constantly challenges the reader and gets a reader to reflect also. She seems to be an example of how knowledge has to be exposed irrespective of the class and community or any social circumstance that one belongs to. And at the end of the story, Moina has become a school teacher, as I've mentioned already, and she encourages her students to ask questions so that they become well informed. Here, she is really a symbol of hope and inspiration for young girls and to the readers, whoever reading the work Why Girl. Here, what I meant by breakthrough is breakthrough from a typical